This is Dabu7 Earthquake Update. A look at some of the global activity and some of the swarms we're seeing here. A trend picking up. You can see here recently Indonesia was hit with the 6th major quake of April in 6 days. And, well, come the 7th, we have Vanuatu being hit with another big one. 6.9 downgraded to 6.7. The initial quake checked in, as you can see here, at a 7.1 that USGS always downgrades. They downgraded that to a 6.9. So they have like a 6.9 and two 6.7s on their chart. But it depends on what network, what graphs you're going off of. Going to be doing an update here on Yellowstone and the activity going on there separately because there's so much to talk about in regards to that, with graphs being removed, charts being removed, them not letting you see past 2 days, an uptick in quake activity all over the place. Got some images that shows that they're totally trying to censor what's going on in terms of Yellowstone. If you were to look at the quake map here, when it comes to Yellowstone, come on now. They're not showing nothing. What do we got here? A little 2. A 2 there. So they're showing a little 2. What do we got there? A 1.2. Now we know that quakes around that range are constantly swarming around Yellowstone. We've seen it on the graphs, and now they're trying to censor it massively. The swarm continuing in Oklahoma. And if we take a look here, you're going to see some recent activity of 5.2 hits on the Gulf region here around Trinidad. Something to pay attention to. We always see a swarm down here in the Virgin Islands, but we see some action off this ridge only 3 hours ago. It's when we start to see things like that, and right here it kicks out into the Azores. Sometimes it'll take this line all the way up till it reaches Iceland. It'll hit all the way down through here. We've seen on these ridge lines specifically, and down here in the serpent heads, and right in the teeth, what I like to call it, right there. You'll see it happen often. But when I start to see this over time, activity along this ridge and on the inside here, in the common quakes that you see in Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, they usually run on the outside here of this subduction zone here, where these plates meet and dive into one another. And then you have this unique spot that cuts right up through Baja into Southern California, of course, San Andreas, all the other fault lines that run there. That's why it's constantly active. And they show those swarms, and not even all of them. But Yellowstone, man, should be showing something. There's other areas that see small quakes. They don't show here. But when I see the activity pop off on the inside here, Jamaica, on the inside of this, something to keep an eye on, because at some point there will be another big quake within this area, I do believe. And last time, you're talking tsunamis, everything that went down there. And taking a look down here, Bolivia, Chile, constantly seeing swarms in this pinch. This is where this plate comes to a pinch point, and this is also an area where we've seen a lot of animal die-offs, and after that, big quakes. And they've seen some of the most recent big quakes have been down in this area. So that's always an area to pay attention to. When it comes to the quakes, they also like to start popping off out here around Easter Island. But as far as an uptick in bigger quakes, we're used to seeing the 4s and 5s. Past 7 days, we've seen a magnitude 6 or greater every single day, and Vanuatu is getting pounded. Now, this shouldn't be surprising, because this is probably the most active place on the planet when it comes to earthquakes. One of them. And I think it ranks number 1 in terms of places that you can expect to see devastation from an earthquake or a natural disaster. Ranks right up there at the top. Solomon Islands is another one that ranks up there in the same list. And you can see a little active here. And them and Tonga all through here. This is where there's a, right off New Zealand here. They don't talk about this. This is where the whole plate boundary has been breaking apart and just turning to mush. And it's no secret, this is the Ring of Fire. A lot of activity constantly going through here. And like you see here, some recent activity in Indonesia. Nothing massive. There were no tsunami warnings kicked off by these events. Sometimes having these quakes pop off in certain areas is a good thing to relieve tension. Other times, it can trigger something bigger. Nonetheless, that's a look at some of the quake activity here recently. I'll leave links so you guys can look further into some of this information. Make sure to bookmark the Big Wobble here. They keep up with daily earthquake updates and stories like that. And until next time, this has been Dabu7.